Alright, so welcome to everybody in the stream. I am your crazy host who's trying to figure out how to use XSplit. Where's the button? There it is. Hello. We're going to be doing late night IMBA discussions. This is a show by no means serious. A little bit of fun, just looking at some replays. In fact, today we have a replay submitted by a Twitter user that sent through to me who was actually, I probably should actually tweet him and tell him that we're doing it on the show because I didn't actually remind him. But yeah, we're just going to be looking at some replays. We're going to be looking at user submitted stuff, like if you have your own things you want to send through just for casual sorts of investigations, that sort of stuff, and we'll talk about things that are in balance. That's the whole point of the show. What else do we do? That's about it, I suppose. Not really hardcore Artosa style, where you're sort of going into massive metagame discussions about that sort of stuff. Just very casual, sort of laid back, and we're just going to look at things. Joining me on the show, of course, we've got our two awesome players who play a lot more than I do. They've played no games this season. First up is Mr. MLG Omerta. Hello.
Hello there.
What's been happening? You haven't played any games? You've been a bit busy with LOL, I hear?
Yeah, I played too much League of Legends, man. It's just too easy because all your friends get on and they're like, well, let's just go wreck some nerds on League. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. Plus, I'm just like, I really just don't enjoy playing PvP. I'm really frustrated with PvZ. So, like, StarCraft in general is just frustrating, so I'm taking, like, a little bit of a break from it.
Yep. No, that's fair enough. My break is not playing on the NA server. So that's what my break is, but I don't know. I don't know how well that's going to work. So we'll find out. And also joining us is Mr. MLG Wiggin. How you doing?
Hello.
You've been
doing good.
Not playing too much as well.
Yeah, I've been playing League with Omerta, but I've developed a plan to just pick the worst champions in the entire game in order to just ruin all our games, so we go back to StarCraft. It's working pretty well so far.
It is. I get a little mad. I'm not gonna lie. Just get a little mad.
He's getting a little mad. Alright.
Playing Eve and Victor all night just to make people mad.
Yeah, this is and look, there's already a question in the chat. I was gonna say no one's mentioned it, but here you go. Why not Dota? Why not Dota, guys?
Well, the easy answer for me is I don't have it. I only have League, and it's free and easy, and I don't have to put much thought into it. So that's kind of why I like it. From what I understand, it's pretty. Dylan saying he hates me as well. It's pretty similar anyway. So I don't know. All my friends have League, so that's why League for me.
Yep, that's basically it.
Fair enough. Alright, we'll get started. This is a PvP from Mr. ITZ, who is over here. I'll tell you when we get started in just a second. As I said, if you want to submit your own replays, send them through to me, DUCKVILLELOL@gmail.com, and just let me know who you are in the replay. I've had a couple of people send them through, and I'm like, well, who are you in the replay? And they're like, oh, this one's me. And I'm like, well, come on, man. Get with the times. So you can send them through. We'll have a look at them. Like, regardless of what league, we don't have to look at masters or grandmasters or famous players or anything like that. Like ITZ is submitted here. He actually submitted this to me to do a cast off on the channel, but I figured this would be a great start to get some user involvement in the show. Anyway, we will get started right about now. Let me just we'll do the old countdown because we're still waiting for the technology to you know, get same people in the same replay. So, you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Sure am.
On 3, 1, 2, 3. As I said, we have our hero player here, ITZ, on the left-hand side of Shattered Temple, and over on the right is Synthesis in the blue. So, what are we thinking of PvP at the moment, guys? Oh, before we get into it, these guys are silver level, I think. So, guys in the chat, if you have something to add, please feel free to post something. It's this clown in friggin' Skype. Screw you, I'm not getting replay sync, it sucks. Anyway, so what do we think of PvP in general, and things that we may see in this game?
I think it used to be such a joke of a matchup because it was 4-gate all day every day, or you're probably just going to lose. But lately, it's grown so much just with a few subtle changes by Blizzard, making it so you can't warp in on ramps and things like that. I think it's actually kind of an exciting matchup to watch, and you have a lot of options now. I don't know. What do you think, Omerta?
I don't enjoy playing it. I still think PvP is pretty luck-based. It's not like every game's a complete coin flip, but there are so many different luck-based factors that go into it, and so that's just really frustrating as a player playing the matchup. Also, micro is definitely not one of my strengths, so being a very micro-dependent matchup, I tend to struggle in it as well. So,
yeah.
I don't know. I tend to cheese a lot in PvP because people are starting to get more greedy, trying to cut too many corners, and so yeah.
Yeah, I found going from, because obviously, as I said before, I've done a pretty big switch going from NA to Korea, and just during the last part of last season, when you'd see a lot of, you'd be able to do things that are a little bit more riskier, just a standard sort of 1-gate expand. It's obviously not the riskiest. Sorry, not a 1-gate expand, a 1-gate robo. Those sorts of things, which aren't as a whole the risky thing. You're going to die. Oh my god! It's more of a little bit more difficult than your average 4-gate, especially depending on the map. But in Korea, it's everyone will 4-gate every time. In fact, today I played 2 PvPs. Both times I got 4-gated, and one of them I defended it, the other I didn't because I was just completely retarded. So yeah, it's definitely changing, and I think that a few things like Phoenix and that sort of thing are pretty big things. So we'll see how that goes. But these guys, just looking at the build orders, we actually had Synthesis just slightly ahead with his Gateway and Assimilator, but it looks as if ITZ has actually caught up a bit. So.
Well, we had something kind of interesting happen in that Synthesis went for a gas first build, which is pretty unusual for PvP. So I'm kind of interested to see what he's going to do with it.
He's metagaming.
I mean, I would honestly, if I was in a PvP and I saw gas first, I would assume TTs or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I'm not. He should already be a Twilight Council if he's going TTs.
Yeah. I think he's just a bit worried about that.
Just since you said it's a Silver League, right?
Yep.
Okay, so just word of advice for a lower league player is if you get into that base like ITZ has, and he's done a good job scouting with this probe this whole time, and you see a gas that's come up and you're not sure of the timing of it, click the assimilator and look at the actual amount of gas that's been harvested and compare it to your own. So if you click them both, you can see that the Synthesis assimilator has mined much more gas already. So that should be able to tell you that it was actually a gas first. Other than that, you can also look at the gateway timing, things like that, but it's always not perfectly apparent.
And it's
so
also,
that's just one thing.
Yeah, and it's also important to note as well for anyone in a lower sort of league, you can still do a DT build even if you don't go gas first. It doesn't actually make up that much of a difference. So from what I understand.
Right. Yeah.
Just looking at the workers as well, ITZ in front by 4 workers, so he's doing nicely in that regard. He's got a robo going up as well. It's over halfway done. A lot of chrono for both of these guys. Sort of to be expected a little bit in a lower league, but hopefully they'll use it up a bit more once they decide exactly what they're going to go for. Well, obviously Synthesis knows what he's going for, but we'll see what happens.
Oh, one more thing while we're still talking about the early game and the scouting. Once your probe is in that base and you've seen everything you need to see, there's no reason to not leave with the probe before the stalker comes out. It should be pretty easy for you to time when that stalker is coming out based on when your own stalker is coming out.
Yep.
So what you want to do with that probe is you want to run it out, maybe check, maybe send it down, look for some kind of proxies, or set it up near the potential third, that the player might take and throw a pylon down just as like a proxy pylon you can use later or something like that. So there's a lot of use you can get out of that probe still. You don't really want to sacrifice it.
Yep. Yeah.
I like ITZ's build here. It was not the most refined thing. I think he just fly blocked himself really early on. But 3-gate Robo, it's very safe, especially if you've seen something weird like a gas first. You're not sure what's going on. So
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty good decision by him to go for that.
Yeah, Robo is definitely the way to go against gas first, because if they're going Robo of their own, then it's going to be like less economically efficient than your Robo, so you'll be like in a good position. And the only other thing they're really going to do with it is some kind of Twilight cheese, either DTs or like a super fast blink, in which case you get, you know, an Obs and an Immortal out really fast. So just good decision overall.
One of
yeah,
the
now
other things,
you
just before we sort of get more into the mid game, is the pylon. Like you saw at the top of Synthesis's base where the actual pylon was to start with. It can be a kind of a big sign that, you know, something fishy is going to go out of the way, like, you know, in a position where you don't normally get a scout in. Of course, at the back of the base where no unit is going to get into unless they've been warped in there somehow, that sort of thing. So that's also important to keep in mind as well. But yeah, in terms of mid game, so now we've sort of moved into this spot where both of these guys, Synthesis is supply blocked, unfortunately for him, building up a couple of pylons just to make up for that. This is normally a position where you would see someone, in fact, the exact same thing I faced earlier today. When someone goes for DTs, they'll obviously, the general sort of follow-up is to take a lot of Zealots and a lot of Archons and then sort of move from there. So I reckon we'll see something like that.
I like that. That's a pretty good follow-up. You can also do, you can get a Robo and do Blink Stalker with observers and try to snipe his observers to force the DTs to work, which you see Huck do a lot. And I like to do that personally because I'm a micro-oriented player. So when I do my PvPs, I tend to go for plays like that. But just a little comment on ITZ's sort of mid-game is once he saw that those DTs had been stopped, instead of throwing down this Forge and this Twilight Console immediately, I would really like to see him expand, because he should know that he is completely safe from any sort of aggression after those DTs initially just did nothing. So it would have been really nice to see him go for an expansion, either that or just go for an all-in on one base, one or the other. But a little late for an all-in. Might as well take the expansion and get more hit, because right now he's sort of let Synthesis sit back and take an expansion of his own, and he doesn't really have the army to go push that now. So Synthesis, if he doesn't like just lose a boatload to this drop over here at the top right, Synthesis should be in a pretty good position. And
pulling up that prison there.
A note for just control in this kind of situation. If you're being dropped, use your stalkers to take out whatever's dropping you. Go for the Warp Prism, go for the Medevac, go for the Overlords, whatever. Because you want to be able to cut that off and just destroy that army in pieces instead of letting anything get away or letting him continue to warp in.
For sure. Yeah, I want to go back to that point you're talking about expanding too, especially Dark Templar, because like if you ever watch a Protoss player ever go Dark Templar, like Dark Templar cuts into your army supply so much, because you have to use your gateways to make them, and they're units that are generally going to die. Like most of the time those units are going to be sacrificed, and they're expensive. So if you combine those factors together, that means like the beef of your army, like that core gateway, is just going to be smaller. Like just bottom line, it's going to be smaller. So especially if you stop DTs, you know it, like you're just going to know in the back of your head that he can't possibly have a big army and DTs. It's just not physically possible. So taking an expansion is just definitely a good idea.
And you can see now, like now, if you looked from like minute 1 to minute 8, it was like in the driver's seat. He was in control. As soon as those DTs got there, he was fine. He should have been ahead in this game. Now, if you look at the game now, you would have had no idea that ITZ should have been ahead. Like you look at it and you see, okay, Synthesis has an expansion up. You know, he's got a better economy now. His army's starting to grow and stuff like that. So it's that kind of expansion timing is something that's sort of especially for a less experienced player is really difficult to get a hold of. But you just have to sort of like basically work on it and like look at a replay like this and realize, oh, okay, I could have taken that base then, and that's why I got behind instead of like something else. And speaking of expansions,
I was waiting for someone to say it. Go on, say it.
Yeah, that is a pro expansion.
The expansion down here is...
Which one?
There's no reason to do it, because you should be able to defend your expansion if you're going to take it. Like, this is like a huge risk. This is... If it never gets scouted, it's awesome because, like, hey, you almost get like a free win because an expansion like this doesn't get scouted at mid to high level play. But like, it's just such a huge risk because how could you ever defend that base against anything, especially when you know a player's going DTs?
Yeah,
has access to DT.
Yeah, hidden base especially just against DTs is just so risky because you have to account for detection and like. You know, if you're just guarding your natural with your arming and observer, then DTs can't do damage. But like either of these two bases, one DT walks down there and it's going to kill every probe. And there's just like basically nothing you can do to stop it.
Yeah.
So
now, the third is made of testicles as far as expanding to his like back area. That's. I mean, I guess if you're going to go for like a cheesy economy play kind of thing, you're just hoping he doesn't see it, you might as well go all the way with it and take that one.
You know,
so I mean,
there is only one thing which would have been more daring, and that would be taking his gold.
Yeah.
That would have been pretty
Bust in there, take the rocks down, put a nexus down, and then just be like, I hope he doesn't come this way.
Yeah. Just another thing to note, when you're thinking about what you want to do to transition into the mid-game, you always want to think about how you can be constantly using things you build. Like, it's built this forge a long time ago, before he built any of these expansions, and it just sat there for a really, really long time. So that's something that, if you looked back at this game, you could either think, oh, I can cut this out and not build it then, or, oh, once I build it, I really need to be using it. You know, croning those upgrades out and things like that. I do like the decision to go Colossus here, though.
Yeah, it's always better to grab those Colossus later on, and it looks as if he's going to do a little bit of neck sickness, DTG sickness. I keep calling him Nex, and I'm like, no, he's not in Nex anymore, he's in DTG. They're doing a little bit of this cute stuff. Not the greatest idea to do it when there are stalkers around, but it looks as if he'll just get away with the Prism on 20 HP, and just inside the main now as well. Gonna clean up a lot of probes.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean it's
nice
doing
damage.
Some damage here.
It's almost as much damage as a stem drop would do. Almost.
Always.
Not nearly as stylish as a stem drop, though.
Now, you know what the really ironic thing about that attack was? Is that because he took out the Twilight Council and Synthesis didn't rebuild it straight away, he doesn't have Blink. That's only researching now. So if he had Blink, he would have been able to kill that quite easily. But no Blink because of that early attack. Perhaps that was a part of the plan or something like that. But yeah, bit interesting.
Yeah, it's true. It's one of those nice things that kind of lines up sometimes in a game. It's like if you snipe that stim like 10 seconds before it finished, and then you get away with something because you can't stim later. You know, little things like that. Not something I expected he planned, but now it's something you can look as a player.
Yeah. This is the interesting part for what ITZ has done is that the probes. Where are they going to go? He's got to airdrop all of those probes, like either across to the base of the south, which is obviously the most logical answer, or across to the corner base down in the bottom right. Now it's going to be incredibly hard to do. I think I just missed a drop, but nope, it's a prism. The prism's back up the top. But yeah, so he's got to get those probes out somehow in a minute once he is done with the prism. But it looks as if he's just going to expand and take them down a long distance mine. But,
yeah, that's kind of the problem with going for this kind of thing.
Also
just like what it.
Sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say, you just sort of like put yourself in a really bad situation for no reason. But hey, screw it. And if you're ever in this kind of situation for some strange reason, don't just have your probes sitting there. Just long distance mine. It's worth it to do that.
Yep. Definitely.
And in regards to the corner base down the bottom, I think another big important thing is to consider is that you want to get the probes into the gas first. Like, the minerals down here don't matter as much. What you want to get is as much gas as you can. And synthesis is getting a bit mad.
Yeah. Everyone's very manner until they get deep into a PvP, and then there's no manner.
Yeah.
And then that's when it turns into the well, normally it turns into that mothership who can vortex first. And that's a big part as well.
Like 9 colossi in a mothership versus 9 colossi in a mothership.
Yep.
See what happens.
Yeah.
Also, I like Storm, but Synthesis has Storm. It doesn't really do too much, but
I don't. I think it's kind of a waste. In
no,
this
I meant like I like it because it's cute. That's not.
Oh, okay.
There we go. Nothing right there.
It's made lots of things that shoot lasers, so he's gonna win this fight.
Yep.
Pretty much. And that's what it will come down to, is just a bit of control and a bit of lasers every now and then. So wow, look at that Colossus. That's awesome. Yeah, so it's taking that, a very unconventional. I'd like to say a very silver game, but you know, then I'd be really mean, and so I'm not going to say it was a very silver game. Yeah, I don't know. So overall, what do you think of Itz's play? Firstly,
I thought he had some like pretty good basic mechanics. Like outside of that really early supply block, like he was making probes pretty much the whole time, and that's like honestly a huge barrier for lower level players. Is just like really basic stuff like that. And like the big thing I would critique him on, which Dave talked about earlier, is like you really it's just knowing when you are safe to expand, and do not be afraid to expand. Like there's no reason to hide a base if you can just take your easily defended base and defend it. And if someone goes DTs and you shut them down, there's no possible way they can have a big army. Immediately take an expansion. It's the best possible thing you can do at that point.
do you think taking 2 would be a good idea?
2's a little risky, especially in a mirror matchup. But I mean, it's a risk you could potentially take.
Let's say it was Tal'Darim, and you stop DTs like that. Do you reckon take the natural and then maybe take a hidden base as well?
Maybe. Maybe. It's just
I would very
risky.
rarely recommend it.
Yeah.
It's something you can definitely like. The thing with a mirror match is you can be punished when you deviate from each other's play. There's always room to punish a player. Like the second you guys are doing something different, there's an opening one way or the other. So sure, you've stopped DTs, but that doesn't necessarily mean you can spend 800 minerals on nothing for a while.
Yep.
So I would, I don't know, especially in this matchup, the map doesn't really matter as much because you can just warp in from anywhere. So if you try to double expand, and I don't know, it'd be something you have to mess around with. And obviously, Itz doesn't mind taking risks, so maybe Itz could go for it.
Alright, so we've got around about half an hour to go. We don't want to go too much more than an hour, namely because I'm hungry and I want dinner, but and also because it's getting kind of late for you, Dave. But well, for normal people, it's getting late. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, a couple of comments in the chat. We had the DT expand shouldn't work anymore, just at all. I think I think it is an interesting play in PvPs to do a DT expand. Obviously, I do DT expands all the time in PvC and PvT, but in PvP, yeah, it's a bit interesting. Alright, so we got a bunch of games from Sheth from the Team Liquid replay pack, which was released last Thursday, I think it was. Or was it? Yeah, it was Thursday. Just after he cleaned up EG, which was pretty crazy to hear. Did you guys have any particular players you wanted to see out of this replay pack? Have you got it there?
Let me pull it up right now and see what we got going here.
I vote for RSVP. It's my vote.
We could do that. What Terrans are in here?
We got Droobies there. There's a couple of ZVZs actually.
I would be willing to pass on
the other two.
Oh.
You're not a fan of the ZVZs, especially
I'd
after that other one we looked at.
There's just not a lot to say about ZVZ. It's like, okay, both players are getting roaches. Whoever attacks first is probably going to lose unless something ridiculous happened. Oh, look, infestors. I hope he has enough fungals. Whatever. You know, like there's not a whole lot to talk about it, and it's mostly mechanical things if you want to analyze it. So.
RSVP?
And also, I just don't play that much Zergs.
I was thinking as well. I was like, it's like last week when we were looking at Pig versus Poker, and like, Omerta was the only one saying anything. Whoops.
Well, there wasn't much for me to say. I could contribute a little bit towards the end there.
Like,
but,
I like those mutas. They were good. That's basically what our sort of addition to it was. Alright, let's go with RSVP. So we'll load that up and go into old BattleNet, because for some reason you have to do this ridiculous shit every time you load up an old replay. This is the most annoying thing for a caster ever, is when you have a patch day and you have like a few replays that you were going to cast that next day, and then the patch comes along and you have to load up this freaking thing, and it's just really annoying. Let's go to 0, ready to roll.
Indeed.
good to go.
Alright, so we'll start on 3. 1, 2, 3. We have Complexity RSVP up in the top left of Antigua Shipyard. This is the ladder version, of course. So we got gold, we got these ridiculous positions for this map where Sheth's third is going to be a little bit interesting to see how he holds that, and Sheth across at the right hand side in the blue. So let's just firstly talk about the map. On ladder, the ladder version of this map, what do we think?
I dislike it very strongly. I think the gold base is way too advantageous, like especially in this matchup for Zerg. A gold base without rocks means they can basically take it for free if you forge expand, and that's just such a hard spot to come back from as Protoss, and it really narrows down your options to like trying to kill it with, you know, some kind of gateway pressure. So Zergs can sort of, you know, go with that in mind and protect it. The interesting thing that these positions open up, though, in PvZ is RSVP has he's got the option to go like 2 Stargate here and do a ton of damage, because he could just go double Void Ray, charge up on the rocks there at Sheth's natural third, and like do a ton of damage. It's actually something I saw Hero do a lot when he plays this on ladder in these similar positions. But I mean, we'll have to see. I'm not sure if Sheth will go for that fast gold, but it's definitely an option, and a really, really strong one.
Now that is an awesome comment from TechSwitch. Circular symmetry is a horrible idea. Unlike rotational symmetry, bam! Yeah, no, I agree. I'm not a fan of this map. I've actually had a couple of Korean players say to me it's actually a good map for PvZ, even when you're in those bad positions where your third is next to their main, because what you do is you just get like a War Prism and just jump back across to the other side where your third, where like one of the other mains is. And I'm like, you can't be serious, because then that means that that's really far away. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think as long as you discount the fast gold you can take as a Zerg player on this map, I think it's a pretty excellent map. But I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with circular symmetry, as long as you tailor the map towards it. Like this map, it works out all right, and you get some very interesting plays. And I think the game can get very bland if you just have very obvious spawns. The map is perfectly mirrored. When you have a situation like this, you could spawn at all these different locations. Your gameplay will change completely based around where you spawn. So something will open up that's completely different because of these spawns, as opposed to like cross positions, for example.
I think, like, I can certainly follow your logic there, and like, while I don't disagree that having a little bit of variety, especially, is a good thing, especially with this matchup. I just think that perhaps they could have gone in the Shakuris direction, where you can spawn in one of these two other positions, but not this one, because it just kind of seems retarded. Like, could you imagine if on Shakuris you could spawn vertical positions?
Well, it used to be that way. Oh no, vertical.
No, yeah,
no.
Yeah. So just with the vertical positions, that'd just be incredibly ridiculous, especially for Zerg, because like you'd just never win. So
sure, but I don't think this map would really suffer from that.
I just don't like taking the third. It's why I downvote this map. So.
I don't know. I see this kind of map always seems very interesting and fun for me to play, because the third is. It's reasonable to protect the third from mutaplay, because you can situate your army for the most part in an area that is able to very rapidly move between your natural and your third. So I don't like when I look at this matchup and I look at maps. The main thing I think about isn't the first expansion, the second expansion. It's when I'm trying to take a third or a fourth as a Protoss player. Am I able to deal with muta harassment? Am I able to take a reasonable expansion that I can defend against, Ling run buys or roach pressure, things like that? And it seems like you can do that on this map.
So we've got a bunch
So
of,
I don't know.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say personally I would prefer this map over Tal'Darim against Zerg. 'Cause I think late game, that map is way more unreasonable than this one is.
We've got sort of standard start here. We've got Sheth taking that third expo pretty quickly, getting up a lot of drones, as he likes to do. Not as much as Rhett, but very close to that. And he's got standard sorts of tech out. We've got 53 drones, and just looking at the roaches, which are just starting to pop out as well. So he's getting up that standard sort of opening here. We've had RSVP do a little bit of attacking here. We've just got some awesome micro with those, with the Zealots that are poking around, and a Void Ray now coming across as well. So looks as if he is going to do, I believe this is that +1 Zealot. Yeah, it is. It's the +1.
Yep.
Zealot Void Ray attack and try and kill the third.
I really like this play. In fact, this is generally what I would do in these positions. It gives you a strong ability to pressure a fast third like Sheth took, without committing too much to it. You're not really dedicating yourself to a particular tech tree. You're still leaving yourself the option to take a quick third, or you could also throw down, like he's doing right now, an additional Stargate, or 4 more gates or something like that to do a strong 2-base all-in, which is generally how any Korean Protoss player ever will play this matchup right now. And I can't blame them at all. And the nice thing is the Void Rays stop this kind of roach, or at least help against this kind of roach. For sure. They're meant to.
He's
but
being served
what
from
actually
behind
stops
with
roaches?
those.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The thing you have to understand about this matchup, though, is if everything is equal, you are playing from behind as a Protoss player.
Dude, you're gonna get some angry Zerg comments.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
You're gonna get some angry Zerg responses, son.
Well,
but I mean,
I
I'm not
don't
disagreeing with you.
I mean, I don't necessarily mean like, oh, Zerg has OP in this matchup. I mean that in general you're down supply when you're in this matchup, and it's usually by a pretty significant amount. Like right now, for example, no one's really done significant damage to each other, so Sheth is up 20 supply and has 75 troops. Like, so you're gonna feel behind, and in reality you're gonna be behind. But you know you have strong ass Protoss units that just never die and things like that, so you can make up for it. But even if you have the tech you need to stop, like say a roach pressure like that, there's always that possibility it's going to do a lot more damage than you think it would. So. Oh, Tech Switch wants to see the unit killed count. Got it. By the way.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested in this like late double Stargate play, like because I've read some. I think it was actually RSVP talking about it on Team Liquid. He likes to do this delayed double Stargate, and I'm just trying to figure out what his plan is, because usually the goal of double Stargate is to get it out fast enough that the Zerg can't prepare for it, and the Void Rays just kind of snowball. But I guess this is serving the same purpose, is that it's coming so late that Sheth might underprepare and the Void Rays will snowball, so kind of interested to see how this plays out.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's necessarily a kill move or just a way to secure that third base he's taking right now, because what'll happen in a lot of situations, you go for this kind of that 1 Void Ray, 8 Zealot, plus 1 pressure, and the Zerg player counters by going roaches. He gets to 3 bases, he gets to 70 drones, or however many. If you're Stefano, you build like 50, and then you just start building roaches forever, and this third base would never be able to be protected if you're going for like a traditional heavy gateway army to defend it.
Yeah.
But if he's going for 2 Stargate, lots of Void Rays, you know, maybe then the Zerg player has that ability to try to stop that third removed.
I was also getting Templar. I mean, this is not a way I like to play PvZ. Just like if you look at the ground army of RSVP, he literally has 2 Stalkers and 2 Sentries and 2 Templar.
And he's gonna pay for it here. Sheth is doing actually just the perfect response to this. He's seeing that RSVP is going for way too much tech, and he's just gonna slam some roach units just straight into the natural. Try to censor myself here. But yeah, Roach Hydra against this, there's just not enough beef units by RSVP to hold this. Like he needs Storm and Shard bots and all kinds of other stuff. And he just doesn't have it.
Oh, this is why I love PvZ, man. Love it.
This is why I don't Stargate. This is why I DT all the time.
Yeah, it's just tough. I mean,
I think
if you don't kill that
you have to try stuff like
this.
Like
Sure.
You have to make an attempt to do something. This is double Stargate players doing that. If Sheth had misread this, or if he was able to hide his Void Ray count or something like that, and Sheth hadn't gone for a 3-base Hydra bust, which is kind of that's not a thing that you would ever really do unless you scouted something that would prompt you to do it, then he'd be in pretty good shape. Like if he tried to get a 4th or a 5th, if he went for like a heavy road play or went for Infestor or something like that, then these Voiders would be fine. He would hold the 3rd, and then he could go into a strong, or at least a reasonable position in the late game. But Sheth, I don't know, did Sheth ever even see the 2nd Stargate early? Yeah, he did. So Sheth read it perfectly and did basically the best response he could in that situation. Just Roach Hydra, slammed into the natural, and just killed him before all this important tech like these storms and things like that came involved.
Yeah, this is
a little bit ugly.
This is tough. Yeah.
PvZ is an ugly matchup.
It is, man. It is so ugly. I really, really hate it. But I mean, it's just so hard, man. When you sacrifice that much ground army for tech, like I understand it. Like his plan seemed like it was to. A lot of Zerg players just won't build Hydralists because they know that Hydras aren't very good. So that strategy seems like he's kind of counting on the Zerg to just not make Hydralisk and go like Spire or Infestor or something else, and the Voiders will hold off any Roach attacks. But I mean, I don't see how there's any possible way. Like even if he had gotten Storm in time to stop that attack, he had no army. He had like 10 gateway units. You just like charge in there with all your Zerg stuff and kill it. But
yeah, I think he was definitely going to be relying on the Void Rays basically just to delay the game to the point that if third was up and running, he could throw down the extra like 4, 5, 6 gates he would have needed at that point,
and then just
and then been able to hold it from there. But unfortunately for him, Sheth just didn't give a shit about his plans.
Yeah.
Built a bunch of
One of
Hydras
the
in
other
one
things that I noticed was the wall off. That was probably one of the weirdest ways I've seen the FFE wall off on this map. Like, I am actually one of the when I did play this map, I was one of the people who did wall at the natural itself, not at the bottom ramp. But that was still really weird. Like having the cannon still actually had a corner of it, which was where a Ling could get in and hit it. Like I know that's only one sort of space, but it was still really weird. And then the gateway, I found that gateway position a little bit odd as well. It was just, I don't know. What did you guys think of that wall?
Let me back up and look at it. I think that most people would suggest that you wall at the ramp, but I've seen this kind of wall before, and the gateway positioning is so that Lings, in order to run by, have to go. It's like almost like a tower defense position, right? Like they have to go all the way around, then instead of just cutting past the nexus up the ramp, they have to go. Then they have to go around to the gateway.
No. They don't. That was like a diagonal.
Oh, they didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, well, then that
was lined up. That's what I was like. All right, maybe if the gate was sitting at the front there or something, I don't know. It was just.
Yeah, maybe he figured he could just stick a probe in there and have it block if he needed to or something. I don't know.
Okay. You can block the Lings with 2.
That is a little strange.
Yeah.
If you, I guess I don't know why specifically he wouldn't want to block at the ramp. Other than maybe there's like some sort of possibility of like losing buildings to roaches from the low ground or something like that in that position. Because
the reason I didn't wall at the ramp was because at the second ramp was because it takes a tiny bit longer to get the wall up, and that was at the time when seemingly every single Zerg on NA loved to either do the 8-minute roach rush thing or do the 3 roach and a shitload of Lings thinger, and it's just kind of like, yeah, I'm sick of this shit, so I just walled at the bottom of the first ramp and that was it. Yeah, I don't know, that was how I used to play that map. But looking at the time, you're like 5 minutes maybe. Let me see quickly.
Well, maybe the chat has some questions or wants to talk about something.
Let's talk about MLG. Ask some MLG questions or something like that.
I could do that.
But yeah. So Nursky's here. Nursky. And he's reckon the Stargate is better on that map in cross spawns.
I don't
disagree.
think I agree with that at all. You need the Void Ray to be there very quickly. You need the Zealots to be there very quickly for that kind of play to work. I think it's better.
Also, the Void Ray can get there and start charging on the rocks so fast, especially in those positions, that like you can especially against good players, like they have their Spore Crawler timings down to like a few seconds, and if you have a charged Void Ray in like 5 seconds before someone's used to at like a really high level, that can actually just be like game ending, do like huge amounts of damage. So
yeah, he's saying because of Hydra pushes are stronger at close positions, but I don't I think if you're doing a mid-game transition that is safe against Hydra pushes, the distance doesn't matter. So if you'd been going for Colossus or something like that, the distance wouldn't have mattered at all.
Yeah, RSVP's transition was not... Yeah, his transition was not counting on a Hydra push like that. Or if it was just, like, way too slow. Like, if he had gotten a few Colossi out, maybe he holds that. But trying to get Storm and take a third base, there's no way.
Yeah. Okay, we have a question from TechSwitch about our general consensus of the Winter Arena, whether or not it was a success. Neither of us were there, because we do not live in New York.
I wasn't there because, I was busy on the day.
Right. I feel like it was a success. I think they did better. I don't know anything about the numbers specifically, but I think they did better than they expected. And it seemed like the production was really fantastic. I loved the UI. I like watching it from home. It was really cool. It's just kind of like ruined me for watching other tournaments because being able to just jump between streams and do all the different stuff like that was just pretty awesome. And no major tech issues, which was cool. So
yeah, there were a couple of lag glitches every now and then, and obviously during the final there was the
but that's just not, like, that's literally nothing MLG can do about that.
Overall, I really did like it. Like as I said to many people, and obviously I was very vocal about it before the whole thing happened. I think it's definitely something that can be done. I've spoken to a few people about like, would you pay $15 3 times in a quarter of a year? So that's $45 for 4 months. So let's say there was, sorry, and I'll restart that. Let's say there were 3 events. There were 3 pay-per-view events like that in a quarter of a year, and they were $15. I think it's reasonable for $45. I think $20 is definitely pushing it. Of course, the general community sort of economic area that they'll sit in, of course, is that you'll either have people who are only just starting working, either at school of some degree, living by who possibly just started living by themselves or something like that, or just in general don't have a job at all or something. But I think 20 is definitely pushing it. I think 15 is a little bit more reasonable, and that would probably be where, if I was Sundance, that's where I would put it next time. But we'll see how that goes. And some people were saying, what about if IGN and someone else did it as well? Let's not say NASL, because we know that's never going to happen. That you're going to be paying a lot more. I think I would say if it was only a couple of events per quarter of a year, and I'm just saying a quarter of a year just randomly, I don't think that's too bad. I don't think that's asking too much. Like, for $15, what can you do? You can not buy the most expensive pair of shoes. You can stop drinking for a week or something, like, as in alcoholic drinks. Obviously, keep drinking water, guys. Water's good for you. Or just cut down one thing for that month. I mean, it can't be that bad. I know there are definitely a lot of people who would live on like $20 for a month or something. Sure, that's fair enough, but to me that's a lot more of a minority that I'm not saying shouldn't be considered, but I'm saying against the majority of things and against the cost of saying, all right, let's make it free, but we we'll only have a $5,000 prize. We won't fly the players here; they'll have to pay for it themselves. But hey, the 3 people who live on $20 a month will be able to watch for free. That's the sort of thing that I consider with that. The other thing, which was kind of annoying me, was that there were some people who were saying that, oh no, every single tournament is going to run like this from now on. Number one, DreamHack and all of the Euro tournaments like that will almost never be a pay-per-view. You'll never see that, namely because Euro tournaments and just generally Euro sorts of things in general are always free, because of course in a lot of European countries they pay a shitload of tax, but they get a lot of stuff free. And I think as a sort of community view, things like paying for things like that would not go down well with European-based fans and that sort of thing. So I don't think that a lot of other tournaments are going to do it at least consistently. Like obviously MLG is going to be doing this. What is it? Is it 4 a year? So we got this one and then another 3, or is it 2?
I don't even think all the details are like fully released yet. Because I think Sundance came out and said they're going to have 2 arenas for spring season, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, something like that.
So they're already doubling that up. Also, another point I just kind of want to throw out there too is like, while people may be getting upset about MLG charging, like you can guarantee from this point forward that MLG is going to have the best players at their tournaments every time.
Yep.
Like, you compare the lineup like to Assembly this weekend. I mean, just think about as a player, and I'm not sure how like Assembly and other tournaments compensate players, but if you're a player and a league like MLG is offering you flight, hotel, travel, all that stuff, and a great prize pool, what tournament are you going to go to? I mean, you're going to go to MLG. So MLG is going, and providing all that stuff costs money. Like paying for all of this stuff for all this players costs money. It costs a lot of money. But so what you're getting with MLG is, yeah, you have to pay, but guaranteed you're going to get the best players. And I mean, the games were amazing this weekend.
Yeah, that's
just like so many great series, and like that's what you're gonna get.
Exactly.
And MLG's trying to build that name. They have the best tournament in the world, and like yeah, you got to pay for it, but you're gonna get the best.
Were there any other either relating to Winter Arena or any other questions before we sign off, because it's been about an hour? Whoa, I just dropped a bunch of bunch of frames, sorry guys.
There was like a couple other. Some other like specific things about paying and stuff like that for it. Yeah. I mean, I think everybody hates paying for shit on the internet, but everybody knows. Like, you know, the money's got to come from somewhere. So that's, people love to just raise a stink and be like, $20, but like, come on, man, it's a movie ticket.
Yeah, I mean, it's really not that much money, man. Like, if you can't afford to pay $20 for something that for your entertainment, then I mean, you probably have a lot worse problems going on than like the fate of esports.
I work for MLG and I paid $20 to watch the fucking thing. Like,
I know, right?
Yeah, like we did some of the content for the qualifiers and we still paid for it. So
yeah.
All right, so that last question was GSL predictions for the. Oh, all right, we'll go with both. We'll go with the predictions for tonight and the predictions for Code S. Predictions for tonight, I would just put them up on the stream. Hold on.
I gotta find out who's playing exactly.
There you go. First game is Sniper versus MVP. Sniper being a Zerg, of course.
Well, he plays Zerg, so
that's true.
So he's in pretty good shape.
Yeah, he's pretty good there. He could, like, he wreck roaches and stuff.
So the obvious pick would be MVP. I would be surprised, but I wouldn't be horribly shocked if there was an upset. I mean, MVP's been traveling, Sniper hasn't.
Yeah.
MVP's been a little shaky lately. He hasn't adjusted to not being able to build ghosts late game in TBZ anymore. So it's very unlikely. But if someone was going to get, if some random Zerg, not saying Sniper's like a random, but if some relatively unknown Zerg is going to kill MVP, probably this week.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably the best way to put it, is that if something crazy were to happen with MVP, like totally discounting what happened at MLG, let's just look at it purely from the Korean GSL perspective. I think this would be the time. If someone random dude was going to do it, it would be now. Yep. STC versus Curious, Omerta?
I mean, they're both really good, man. I mean, STC is there a better Terran than him on OGS? Maybe Supernova? The STC is really good, man. Like, really, really good. I got to watch him play it. I think it was just one MLG. Did he only come to one, Dave? Do you remember? It was either one or two.
Well, he was at the arena.
Yeah. But, like, just actually, like, when I go to the lab events to work,
right.
like, I get to stand behind these guys and actually watch. And I'm always just so impressed. Like, sitting behind them watching their first-person view. I don't know. Let's see. The maps are pretty good for Curious, I think. And he's just a really strong Zerg in general, so I'll say he takes that series.
STC is definitely more of a TVP player than a TVC player.
That's what I was thinking as well. So I think Curious for this one.
Yeah, I'll go with Curious too. I'll jump on that bandwagon.
Game 3 is my boy Seed, one of my top 5 Protoss, versus
very good
Lenok. Seed is at SeedLol on Twitter, just if anyone was wondering. Not many people actually. There aren't as many people following him, and I know he's not a high quality, like a high profile player, but he's freaking awesome.
He's very good.
That stuff against Boxer last week was ridiculous. That was so good. Anyway, so my pick right here would be Seed, but you know, up here the brain says Lenok.
Yeah, you won't catch me betting on Protosses against Zerg right now, especially if one of the maps is Crossfire. I mean,
joke of a map.
Yeah, like
Where
PvZ on Crossfire.
Joke map. That's what we need right now.
It's honestly just stupid. The last game I watched on there, I can't remember which PvZ it was, but the Protoss went for like. Yeah, he went for a 4-gate Void Ray, which is like literally a beta build. And if a professional Protoss is doing something that ridiculous in a televised match, like, you know there's a problem with the map. So, like, Seed's at a serious disadvantage just because he has to play on Crossfire. And Tomb Valley and Antigua Shipyard are both pretty good PvZ maps, though, so, I don't know, he might be able to pull it out.
Dave?
I'm going to take Seed in this one.
Whoa!
Not for any like particularly special reason. I just have a feeling that that Seed will have a lot of special stuff prepared. I mean, he's got the whole week
hallucination shit prepared.
Well, he's got the whole week to practice for this matchup, whereas Lenok had to go to MLG and everything.
Sure. He had to be groped by MKP, which was so cute.
Yeah. And Lenok has a very basic style and a very consistent style in that matchup, which is essentially like I build lots of roaches on 2 or 3 bases. So I don't.
Oh, you mean Lenok? Sorry, I thought you meant every single Zerg. Sorry, my bad.
Well, yeah, but especially Lenok. And it's hard to deal with, of course, because it's Zerg units. But
yeah.
But I think that Seed might have a chance to get him. I mean, he's got 2 good maps. Crossfire is a joke, but Entombed Valley and Antigua are good maps.
The final game tonight will be Avenge versus Twilight. PvP?
Well, let me find a coin.
Oh,
right.
Is that
Heads
Twilight?
Is
Twilight's
Oz.
Oz, right? Okay.
Yeah, sorry. That's Oz. My bad.
Oz wins.
Yeah.
It's my call. Oz has improved a lot as a player lately, and you don't really have to practice for PvP. So I don't think the fact that he went to MLG is going to affect that at all.
Yep.
I like very good micro.
Yeah, his micro is crazy. Some of those games, like him versus Parting and whatnot, was crazy. I like Avenge's PvZ. Other than that, I don't think he's sort of as good as he's appeared. And the final quick thing we'll get to is the GSL Code S Finals. which on the 3rd of March. Well, for me it's on the 3rd, for you guys it's on the 2nd. I'll be at a Barcraft in Melbourne, so that's going to be fun. Where is the freaking thing? There it is. So we got Genius versus Dongregu, of course. Best of
I'm so
7.
excited for that, man. I'm so excited for that. Like, watching teammates go at it, I think this is going to be a really fun series. My heart wants to say Genius. I think the map pool is decent, again, aside from Crossfire, but...
It's game 6, it's not...
It's pretty deep in.
In fact, both of those, Crossfire then Belshear, like, if it gets to that point, it's going to get very messy.
Again, I think PvZ is just in a really tough spot, especially for a best of 7 series, because, I mean, the matchup right now is completely based off of 2-base aggression from Protoss, and it's like, I mean, how many times can you do that in a row in a best of 7 before it stops working? I don't know, but we'll have to see. I'm definitely rooting for Genius, but I think Dongregu is gonna win.
Dave?
I think Dongregu is probably definitely going to win. I mean, not only is he just actually the best Zerg player in the world, it's the probably least statistically balanced matchup in the game right now. And you know DRG, like, he wants it, man. After losing to Marine King Prime this weekend, he wants to win this. I think he wants a lot more than this.
The thing about PvZ too, man, is that there are very few Zergs that really, really get it. Like, if you look at like a global scope of the numbers, like PvZ is pretty equal, like maybe just a little bit Zerg favored. But when you take a look at guys like Nestea and Dongregu and Lenok, those guys win like 80% of their games against Protoss, and they really understand the timings of the matchup and how to use the mid-game advantage that Zerg has to its fullest. So.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and
I mean,
DRG
it's
actually
really
just
just
wins 80% of his games in general. And when you like, when you think like 80%, that doesn't really hit you, but that's actually just so absurdly good in StarCraft terms. Like,
it's 4 out of 5 games. I mean,
the guy is actually just like, I would be very surprised if Genius won. I think it'll be a good series because Genius always comes up with the craziest shit that works, and I think that's what, like, especially as a... So I have this weird theory that in PvZ, like, really good Protoss players just lose all the time, but kind of bad ones that do ridiculous shit win a lot. And Genius is one of those guys that, he's a good player, but he doesn't do things that you think good Protoss players would do. So he wins these weird games a lot of times. Like, he does, like, Void Ray All-Ins all the fucking time, and just wins with them because, like, why would you do that? But it just happens. So...
I think I would there are a couple things. One, Dongregu will win. I would really like to see Genius win, but a couple of things I would like to see would be a DT opening from Genius.
You're not going to see.
Well, I know no one else but me likes it, but I swear, if you know, it can be partially done, then, you know, by some random dude on the Korean ladder playing against Platinum Zergs, and I'm actually 4-0 against Zerg when I get that far. Let's just keep in mind that a lot of Zergs cheats, so I don't actually get that far. But in the games that have gone that far, I'm 4-0. I would also I would laugh if we got to see the Phoenix range upgrade, but I think if there's anyone who could do it, it would be Genius. So
Genius does like Phoenixes against Mutas, man. He's the one Protoss that really stands out to me right now that I can remember. That he goes like 2 Stargate Phoenix to deal with Muta. Like, nobody really does that. Everyone just goes Blink and Storm. He loves getting Phoenixes.
Alright, well, we shall sign off. Any final words from you, Omerta?
No, man, just follow me on Twitter, I guess. I was excited to get my first casting stuff done with MLG for the qualifiers. That was fun. I'm planning on doing a lot more of that. So yeah, trying to get into casting a little bit more.
Dave?
Just the same. Follow me on Twitter, MLG_Wiggin. I have in the past streamed a lot, and I'm getting back into it. Play a lot of. I'm going to be playing less of League of Legends, but I'll stream some of it. It's usually pretty entertaining. Counter-Strike Go, Tribes Ascend, and of course StarCraft 2. Going to be getting back into that a lot.
Cool.
So yeah, follow me on Twitter, and I will let you know when I'm streaming. It's also a great way to get in touch with me.
Indeed. One last thing which I forgot to mention. I will be doing. It's going to be really funny. I'm taking this girl from work to Barcraft this weekend for the GSL finals. I'm going to be she knows nothing about StarCraft, which is why it's going to be really funny. But I'm going to be taking some video of her, just like of what she thinks of everything, like during the whole night, as much as I can. And yeah, I'm going to be compiling all of that together, and hopefully we'll have a fun little montage-y sort of thing on my channel soon. So stay tuned for that. And of course, yeah, follow me on Twitter. You should already have me on Twitter, DUCKVILLELOL. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week for another exciting edition of Late Night IMBA Discussions. We didn't actually call too many things IMBA, but we got close. Thank you for tuning in, guys.
You should like a General Zerg IMBA kind of thing.
That's true, that's true. Alright, catch you all later.